Welcome to Advanced Tutorials Done Simply. Today we'll be going over Roblox Studio remote events and how to use them. In this, we'll be going over the client to server event, server to client, server to all clients, and then a client to client, which we'll go over more later in the video. We will first go over the simplest remote event, which is client to server. So we'll be sending an event from our client into the server. So we're going to get a local script inside of our client using Starter GUI, and we're going to get a script in Workspace that will be catching it as our server. So we're going to go ahead and make now a remote event, which is what we're learning. We're going to go into replicated storage because that's mostly where you would put all of your remote events, and we're going to create a remote event. Now you can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to name this send. Now we're going to name our local script sender, and we're going to go ahead and name our workspace script catcher. This should make it a little easier to explain in the terms of almost throwing a baseball. So we're going to take our sender, which could be the pitcher, and we're going to want to send it through our remote event and then into the catcher. So we're going to need to address the remote event. We can do that by going to game.replicatedStorage, wait for child, and then we will be waiting for send, and then we will fire server, and then closing brackets. Now this is theoretically throwing the ball from the client into the server, but there's no point if there isn't anything to catch it, so we're going to need a catcher, of which we will address it again on game.replicatedStorage, and then wait for child, and then we'll do the remote event, send. Except now we need to wait for it. So we will do on server event connect function closing brackets. Now we have something that can listen to it and catch the ball. So our sender, we're just going to have it print throws, and then the catcher print catch. Now if we run this program, the remote event send will be triggered, and you will see it output throws and then catch. Blue means that it was sent from the client, and the green means that it was sent from the server. Now that the server has caught the ball, what if we want to throw the ball back to the client? Well, we need to specify what client we're sending it back to in case there's multiple clients on the server. So we're going to use this through the players. So we're going to do a local players equals game get service, and then players. Now we can use players dot player added connect a function, and then closing brackets, play. Now the player, whenever they join, is defined by play, and that is their client. So now all we need to do is fire plays client. So we can address our remote event again. Now that we have our send addressed, we're going to want to fire client, and then we need to specify the client, which is play. Now it'll fire it in reverse onto play's client, which in that case will be our client whenever we join. So we need to catch it. So same thing, it's just like we would normally in Workspace. So we have to define send again. And now we will do on client event connect, and then we will do function close brackets. We don't need to define anything. Now we can use this to print caught. So as soon as we join, we should be caught, see caught, print into the output. And there we go. So now the server just sent it directly back into the player's client. Now, let's say, just for organization's sake, you want to send a client to client. So let's say you have a script inside of Starter GUI, and then you also have a script inside of Starter Pack. So we're going to go ahead and make a local script. Now, you can't address a client to client. You can only address a client to server to client. So you can do something I like to call a bridge, where you would fire it from one, send it, and then send it back. So all you have to do is from your, we're going to call this send, and then receive. And this will be our bridge. So we're going to go ahead and delete everything in both of these. And now we're going to want to send a same client to server, and then send a server to client again. But we can send our value of our client to make the bridge job way easier, which is a little bit more advanced. So from our send, we need to address replicated storage. So game replicated storage, wait for child, and then we'll do send. And then we will fire server, and then we'll do game players dot local player. So now the server will get our local player. We'll go back to our bridge, and then now we will do a receive. So we will do game dot replicated storage dot wait for child send dot on server event, then we'll do player. On server event connect function, then player. Now this player inside of the function is the exact player that we just sent from send, game.players.localPlayer. But the server can't find local player, so we give it its information beforehand to be sent through it. Now that we have the client, we can just fire it back, and then we can detect it from receive. Fire client player. So now it'll fire the player client. And then we'll go ahead and take it from the receive. And there we go. So now send will send it to bridge, and then bridge will send it back to receive. And we'll have this print long way traveler. So now whenever we go ahead and join, send will fire the server will fire back to client. So the only really reason that I've used this inside of development was to make organizing scripts a lot easier. But if you wanted to, you could use it in other more practical ways. So now that you know the basics of how remote events work, next time we'll go over remote functions. And if you want any more details, because this was not everything, this is just the bare bones basics, there's also fire all clients. I'll leave a wiki link down in the description that you will be able to follow, and you'll be able to learn everything that I went over today, and hopefully you can use your newfound knowledge to develop games of your dreams.